Here with Wheaton College women's basketball head coach Melissa Hodgson and senior guard Laura Pierce after a 104-96 victory, tie the single highest points total in program history as a team with 104. Coach, just your overall thoughts on the win against Pine Manor.
Honestly, in my coaching career, we've never scored 100 points. We've been close a few times in a lopsided game, and I never want to do that. It happened to me as a young coach on the other side of it, and I didn't think it was good for the game. But tonight we needed all 100 points. At halftime, we talked about holding them under 50. Our game plan was to defend dribble penetration and take away their transition, and if we did that, we could hold them under 50 points. And as you saw, they scored 64 points in the second half, so we did not do that. Luckily, we got the win and outscored them, but as a team, we weren't happy top to bottom with our defensive game. 94 feet, 50 feet, 10 feet, 3 feet away from the hoop, so it's something we definitely have to get better at.
LP, can you just talk about the win from your perspective?
From a player's perspective, I don't think we're satisfied at all. There were a lot of things that we could have done better. Honestly, it feels like a loss because we know we could have done things better, primarily on the defensive end and holding each other accountable and taking advantage of everything on offense.
Coach, can you just talk about Abby Brickley's night sets the program record for single game points with 37. She went 15 from 20 for the field and 7 of 9 from the free throw line, also added 10 rebounds. Just talk about her day.
Yeah, 15 for 20 is phenomenal, and none of them were forced shots. LP had 13 assists, and Kurt had several assists as well. And they, Brick was open around the hoop, and you can't leave Brick open around the hoop. I know as an opposing coach I wouldn't, so I guess their strategy was more to take away our perimeter play and let Abby have what she could have, and 37 points shooting that percentage is outstanding. But that's Brick. She's capable of doing that. She's capable of finishing around the hoop, and she didn't even have to move out to the high post today, so that's an outstanding stat. Kylie's 6 for 8. I think, as a team, 104 points is great. And our athletic director mentioned it was tying a school record, and he was happy about it, and crowds like to see points. But as a team, our scouting report was to keep them, like I said, under 50, and we didn't do that. So I'm glad what LP said, that we're not satisfied. But to Pine Manors, out of respect to them, they play a lot of good teams. They average 82.2 points a game. They're 6th in the country, and their coach just kept coming at us, and that's something that we didn't take away from them. Just like they didn't take our inside game away. So it was a little chess match, but my hats are off to them. They played their butts off for 40 minutes and never got down, even when we had a good lead. I'm not sure if they ever led in the second half, but they stayed and they fought the whole time. They scored 61 points in the second half of a game the other day, and I told the team that at halftime to expect that, and they ended up scoring 64. So, my hats are off to Pine Manor, and I know they'll be successful. For us, we know what we need to work on, and hopefully we'll get back at it tomorrow.
Coach, you talk about their up and down type play. They scored 25 points on the fast break today, so that's kind of indicative of what they could do from their offensive end. But to spin it back to Wheaton, you look at the stats out of the 5 starters. Laura Pierce is the only one without double-digit points. Kylie with 15, Kurt with 22, and Rebecca with 13. But at one point during the game, I remember Laura was 8 assists, 0 for 1 from the field. You finished with 13 and 9 points. Just talk about what it means for you to orchestrate the offense first before you ever look for a shot.
I have to give it to my teammates. I wouldn't have those if they're not finishing, and I'm lucky to play with 2 great post players that I never had, in my high school career. But that's something that I think, being a point guard, you have to be the floor general out there and not necessarily look for your own shots, but take them when they're open. And I have total faith in my teammates when they have a shot that they're going to make it.
And she made an adjustment, just to follow up on that. In the first half, Kurt was passing really well and finding Brick, and LP was kind of coming from a side angle, and so it wasn't the same trajectory, and she adjusted that, and then it was like point on, and she takes a lot of pride in her playmaking, but obviously she knows she can't force passes because she doesn't want turnovers, and then taking the open shot with confidence when she has it is something she's really added to her game.
Turnover differential for Laura, 13 assists, 2 turnovers, so that's huge in the stat line. Coach, just final thoughts on what's next for Wheaton.
She took 2 charges too, so that's a good stat. That doesn't show up in the box score, though that was a point of emphasis for tonight too. I think we could have had a lot more. Instead of trying to block shots, taking more charges. But now we're back into New Mac play. This was a bye game for us. I'm glad we had the game. We get so much more out of this than practice. Our practices are intense and they're game-like, but it's always different when you play a different opponent. We couldn't have done this to ourselves in practice because we're so structured. So this was a great learning experience for us. I'm so excited to see how this team responds to this game. We played Pine Manor's game. We didn't play our game. And our point all season, especially in NewMac play, is to play Wheaton basketball and play our way. So I can't wait to see how we respond in practice tomorrow, Friday, and then at Mount Holyoke on Saturday for a huge stretch. At Mount Holyoke, at Coast Guard, which was a great game on Saturday for those that were here, and then at a phenomenal WBPI team on Valentine's Day. So we have a big stretch coming up.
All right, thanks, LP and Coach, on the win.
Thanks, Sean. Congratulations, Patriots.